morning, Nigeria. Welcome to the big story on Daybreak Live, the segment where we take a deep look at issues shaping Nigeria's democracy and governance. Today, we ask a critical question: elections without voters, how apathy and money politics are eroding Nigeria's democracy. Over the years, Nigeria has witnessed declining voter turnout despite rising political tension and heated campaigns. While politicians spend billions on election, ordinary citizens are increasingly staying away from the ballot box. What does this mean for our democracy? And who truly benefits when the people don't show up? I'm Samson Balogun. Thank you for tuning in. Joining us this morning, already with me in the studio, to unpack these concerns is Dr. Kunle Okunla, a political analyst and governance advocate. Together, we'll explore why Nigerians are losing faith in the electoral process, how money politics has taken center stage, and what can be done to restore confidence and participation in our democracy. As seen in the Ibadan North Federal Constituency by-election, even candidates complained bitterly about voter apathy. What could have caused it? Is it lack of publicity by INEC, the inability of the candidates to convince the voters to come out and vote, fear that their votes would not make a difference? We'll unpack all of these today on this show. From disenchantment of youth voters to unchecked influence of political spending, we'll connect the dots and ask the tough questions. Is Nigeria's democracy becoming a game of highest bidder? And how do we get citizens back to the heart of the process? Good morning once again. This show is The Big Story on Daybreak Live right here on Dominion Television. Dr. Kunle Okunla, good to have you in the studio.
Good morning, Nigerians.
There's a lot to talk about, and then I want us to scratch beyond the surface this morning.
Yeah.
The Ibadan North by-election, is that the pointer towards which the next election will be centered? I mean, with the current number of people in Nigeria, citizens, Nigeria is projected to be around 250 million people.
Yeah.
When you look at the last election that brought in the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the total vote of all the top three candidates was less than 30 million.
Yeah.
But then, in Ibadan North, about 22,000 people were expected to come out. But then, what happened?
Yeah.
What happened?
It's high time the government of Nigeria began to critically look into this issue. We're having presently political apathy. 276,000 people were
registered
registered
voters
for the election of the Ibadan North, and we have only 26,000 participated. And I can tell you that the 26,000 that participated are all party members.
Card-carrying members of the party.
Card-carrying members of the party. In political science, political apathy is a lack of interest or apathy towards politics. And this includes voters' apathy, information apathy, and lack of interest in election and political activities and events. Voters' apathy refers to lack of interest in participating in election by certain group of voters. And one of the side effects of voters' apathy can be low turnout on election day. That is, if the voting is non-compulsory, like we have in Nigeria, and in countries or areas where the votings are compulsory, voter apathy may manifest itself in the form of high proportion of spoiled ballots or donkey votes. And there are two possible causes of voters' apathy: alienation, and this refers to the sense that voters feel like the political system does not work for them, and any attempt to influence it will be a fruitless exercise. One of the persons that was supposed to vote in Ibadan North was asked, why, he did not go out to vote. And he said, yours is to vote. Politicians are to enjoy. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of energy. And he said, it's not those who vote that count, but those who count the vote. So why should I go and waste my time? And this is a reflection of what is happening overall in Nigeria. Democratic rule in Nigeria has been for the past 26 years. And 18 of those 26 years, we have witnessed decline in voters' participation, in Nigeria. I did a lot of statistics, and I want our viewers to see this so that we really know the problem at hand regarding voters' apathy. In 1999, when democracy started, you could see the enthusiasm that people, had. They went out. We have 52.26%, of people that went to vote. And in 2003, it rose to 69.08%. However, the enthusiasm quickly went down due to electoral fraud and poor governance, and turnout dropped to 57.49% in 2007. And in 2011, it drops to 53.68. In 2015, 43.65, and 34.75% in 2019. The lowest turnout yet ever recorded was in 2023, when, according to INEC, only 26% of registered voters participated.
Turned up for vote.
And this is this is a troubling record, and is the election that brought the president 26%.
Just about 26%.
Now, you could see the decline. My fear is that a time may come that, we're going to have general election in this nation, all right, and there won't be anybody apart from party members queuing up, because people are getting tired. People are not enthusiastic about going
Selecting
to vote again.
Because
like somebody said, what we have in Nigeria presently is not really election. It is selection. So once you have selected whoever you want to be there, why do I need to go and waste my time? 16 by-elections took place on Saturday. APC took 12 of them, all right, APGA 2, then PDP 1. And in all these states, people voted for the sitting governor. It's so obvious in Oyo State that people didn't go out to vote for party. They went out to vote for Governor Seyi Makinde, because in fairness to him, he's a performing governor.
Some said whoever was contesting against Folajimi in Ibadan was contesting against the governor. Is that true?
I think so. People went ahead, that Saturday to vote. The little people went to vote for the governor.
There were insinuations that even within the APC, there was a crisis and they had to vote for the opposing candidate.
There's been a serious crisis within the APC since the former governor, Ajimobi, died. There hasn't been a formidable replacement for him. And so for APC to win any election in Oyo State, you have to bring somebody who is well-respected, accepted, and formidable to match the record of Seyi Makinde. And the sitting governor has all the money and the influence, and so that's the reflection of what happened. But the result of those by-election does not reflect the mind of the people. Those that one should not over rejoice and think that that's how it's going to be 2027. It's not a reflection of the mind of people. People are tired. People did not go out. If 276,000 people registered and only 26,000 went out, in some other nations, they're going to cancel the election because it's way, way too low, all right? But Nigeria, we went out, so they should not over-rejoice. And my advice is that, if they want people, the newly elected people, if you want people to vote for them in the next general election, then they should go out and perform so that people can have more faith, because people have lost faith in the election process.
Dr. Kulekola, let's quickly digress a little bit.
Yes.
The problem started when ballot box snatching started in Nigeria. Then we graduated to ballot stuffing. They don't snatch. They just stuff it with thumb-printed vote. And now it is vote buying. This is a process that is gradually developing to a national disaster. How do we end this before it becomes a problem?
When you have an electoral process that is based on money, the more money you have, the more influence you have, and the more votes you can buy. Because when you buy the people, you buy their votes. And with the level of poverty in Nigeria. Even ordinary 10,000 can make people to change their mind and vote for whoever is giving them money.
You say ordinary 10,000.
Yes.
People sell their vote for less in a country like Nigeria.
That's, I mean, somebody who has not. I was when I moved around and I saw, the level of participation that was on Saturday, and I saw thugs and louds around. I was like, with the present level of poverty in Nigeria, will anybody still want to risk his life for a politician? But it's happening. Somebody who has not, who's not sure of a day meal, and you give him just 5,000 naira, it will work for you. All right, and that's what I believe in. What somebody said, that the politicians, deliberately, perpetually, are keeping Nigerians, at this poverty level, so that when they want to use us, they can easily manipulate us. A hungry man is an angry man. An hungry man can do anything. If you have a family, your children, your wife have not eaten, you can do anything to feed them. And so it's a deliberate act to keep us, to keep the people in perpetual poverty. All right. But you can only push people to a level. When you push them against the wall, there'll be resistance. I hope we don't get to that level. And that's why I believe that the federal government of Nigeria, the state governments and local government must do something. People are tired. This level of political, voters' apathy is too high.
Some claim that Nigerian politicians are more interested in buying influence than winning ads these days. Is that true?
The point is that, like I said, the more money you have, the more influence you have. And the more people you are able to buy to your side. And if you buy people to your side, you have bought their votes also. Even the primary selections, of flag bearers of parties in Nigeria, a lot of money move around. If you don't have enough money to buy those political chieftains of your state or local government, you are not going to be a flag bearer of the party.
A case study is that of the APC in the Ibadan North local government. They said they all paid 10 million naira each for the ticket, for the form, not the ticket. Eventually, there was no primary election. They claim that a candidate has been chosen by the political party on a consensus basis. But in the long run, some are still claiming, no, you are not our candidate. And notable candidates that actually contested for that ticket include Repete, who is also there, Olusegun Eroding, there, Farouk Adesekola, one of them, and a host of others. There are about 7 or 8. Eventually, the ticket was given to Murphy. And some are claiming that it is because he's one of the cronies of the Minister of Power, Adebayo Adelabu. But then, Adebayo Adelabu's influence was tested. Is that so? In the by-election.
At the end of the day, what happened? He lost. One of the
is that a pointer to what he should expect in the next election?
In the next election, APC, especially in Oyo State, they have to do a lot of homework. The truth is that even some party members, because of the alienation, the candidate was alienated from the poll. Some of them went ahead to vote for PDP. Some APC member, went ahead to vote for PDP, because it's not election that took place. The primaries is selection, and it should be when you know that when a party knows that you want to select, a person that you believe is the most popular, then there is no need for asking prospective candidates, to buy form. 10 million naira is not a small amount of money, and until we dissociate ourselves from money politics in Nigeria, this is the kind of result we're still going to be getting. Is it somebody who has not fed his family, a meal in a day, that he wants to go and put down 10 million naira, for something that is not, you are not even assured, sure that you are going to be selected. It's all selection, it's not election. And that is what is making people to be wary of, wasting their time, wasting in quote, of going to queue, all right? But, all these things are dealing blows on our, fragile democracy in Nigeria. Democracy should be the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But what I see happening is in Nigeria is the government of the politicians, by the politicians, for the politicians, to oppress the people. All right? And people are getting weary of that. All right? And so our political class must do something of a necessity about it.
And then there was an insinuation that the governor deliberately tilted the scale towards Honorable Folajimi Don in the last election. And that's a part of the things we are talking about as regards how the people lost interest in voting generally. He named a particular estate in Ibadan after the late Honorable Akeremi Jagaban, who passed away, who was actually occupying that seat just days before the election. Also distributed rice to people of Ibadan North just before the election. And people are saying the governor didn't give them that rice just because he loved the people of Ibadan North. It was a pointer that we are looking forward to you voting for our political party. Should the governor have actually done that during that period?
In Nigeria, politicians do whatever they can do in order to get, people's votes. The governor, politicians are like, I don't want to make that analogy on here, when politicians are coming to you and it's like they are offering something to you, it's because they want to get something bigger from you. That's the way it is. The PDP flag bearer, was the anointed candidate of the party and of the governor. So the governor must do everything to make sure that he is successful. And the success in that by-election is, by and large, a success, of the governor. As the first PDP member of the state is a success to the governor. And so he has to do what he must do so that they can win the election. And they have won the election.
Does low turnout in any way affect the legitimacy of elected candidates?
It should. I tell you that in some other state, I'm talking of nations now, that election will have been cancelled. 176,000 registered, only 26. It's not even 50%. It's not even 40%. It should be around the 27 or 28%. That is way too low. But INEC has declared him winner. It is legitimate in Nigeria. All right. And the president has gone ahead to congratulate all the winners. The next thing you're going to see is the swearing in of these people in the House of Rep. So it shouldn't have validated the election of these people because the turnout was too low. But in Nigeria, because INEC has announced them as winners, it is validated.
Okay, now if that is the case, the current situation now is that Nigerians have lost hope in the electoral system. Yeah. How do we revive that? How do we bring people on board to become active participants in the Nigerian electoral system again? Because as it stands, if we continue to do this, it means the figure will continue to go down as in contrast to what happened in 1999 to what has happened in the year 2023, going forward to 2027. If something is not done, what are the areas we should be looking at? Are we looking to reform INEC as an electoral body? Are we looking to give the people more orientation and probably pass more information across to them? Or are we looking to make sure that politicians don't get to buy their way into offices?
There are a lot of things that must be done. One of such is this political godfatherism in Nigeria. As long as we have that you cannot imagine a candidate if you don't have a godfather. If you are not an anointed person by Godfather, we cannot have free and fair election in this nation. That is number one. Number two, the government must restore public confidence in electoral processes by dealing with electoral frauds. It is very, very important because many Nigerians are tired. They know that it is not the voters that count. It is the people who count the votes. So why do I need to go and waste my time?
And that points a finger to INEC as a body.
It points a finger to INEC. You cannot prevent what you permit. INEC chairman is chosen by the sitting president. That on its own is wrong. It should be a neutral body. There should be a neutral body, that it selects whoever is going to be the INEC chairman. But if I'm the president and I select you to be the INEC chairman, naturally you're going to favor me.
Are you saying an individual body can't be corrupted too in Nigeria?
An individual body can be corrupted, but that will be minimal compared to to the president electing the INEC president. It's never done anywhere. So there should be a reform of the INEC INEC as a body. There should be a reform. Then the government must sensitize communities to political participation. It's very important. A constitution must be reviewed, especially the aspect that has to do with the rules of election. Then our electoral processes, the registration, accreditation, collection of voters' cards and voting is cumbersome, and rigid against the global best practices. While other communities are engaged in mail-in and online election, Nigerians are still compelled to line up under the sun and the rain. This has to be reviewed. Then the judiciary also has failed to serve as the last hope of the common man in the face of electoral fraud. In many cases, the courts have overstepped their bounds, pronouncing winners instead of ordering a rerun of election. That also. Then the politicians perpetuate bad governance and exploit poverty. This also has to be looked into. So these are the various areas that the government must look to ahead of the 2027 election, so that we are not going to have a turnout that is even worse than 2023 that we're talking about now. Okay, in 2023 was just 26% of the overall registered voters that turned out. All right, maybe we're going to have 10. Because as things are going now, it might indicate that people will not be willing. The enthusiasm is not there. When you tell people, do you have your voters card? What do I want to do with it? There's some people that have voters card because, they want to get shares during election, because you have to use voters card.
They need it in the bank.
Or they need it in the bank, and things like that. So the whole process has to be reformed. And what the government needs to do is to help people to have confidence in the electoral process, because presently most Nigerians do not have confidence.
Now, still talking about how to restore confidence in the electoral system in Nigeria. There are about 5 parties that play actively in the Nigerian electoral system.
Yeah.
That is the electoral body, INEC, as a body, or state electoral commissions like OCEC and the likes. Also, we have to talk about the security operatives. Yeah. We'll talk about the active playing politicians. Yeah. We'll talk about the people. Yeah. And after that, we'll talk about roles of stakeholders, bodies who actually more or less like who practice activism to make sure that Nigerians are liberated. And these are the bodies that have stayed quiet for far too long. Yeah. The police, are they playing their part? When we talk about the electoral system, these are things I want you to talk about this morning. And of course, INEC as a body, is it time that the INEC as a body is it too cumbersome that it has to be unbundled somehow?
All the aspects that you have mentioned, the INEC, the people, the politicians, each of them has their own fault. They have their own role, and they have not played their role effectively. Let's talk about the police and other security infrastructures. It's common in Nigeria that the police of a state most of the time favors the sitting governor of a state, and invariably his party. And this should not be, because security operatives in Nigeria should be non-participants. But here you have a lot of money flowing around. We're playing money politics in Nigeria, and whosoever plays the pipers dictate the tune. So police especially should be more impartial when it comes to electoral processes. Stay
clear.
All right, and
And be neutral.
And be neutral. That would take a lot. That would take a lot for the Oyo State. The Ibadan North. I think about 75,000 police were drafted. That is massive. That is enough. All right. But yes, you still see a lot of electoral frauds going on because people just look the other side. I'm talking of security operatives. Then number two, people also be wary of politicians using you. I was shocked to still see thugs and louds on Saturday. In fact, I was shocked. My opinion was that nobody will present themselves to be used by politicians again. These people have their own families well catered for. Some of them have their children abroad, they're doing fine, and they're distributing machetes and the cutlass to you. Be wary of that. Let's have elections that are void of thuggery,
violence.
And violence. Don't buy stuff ballot papers for people. At the end of the day, they don't look at you again, like that person said that I mentioned the other time. They say yours is to vote, the politicians are to enjoy. After they have given you 5,000, 10,000, they move on
to the next person, to the next election, until the next
election, they are not needed again. So be wary of that. Be wary of that. There are people that for a Congo of rice or two, they sell their votes. That's not reasonable. Is that what you are going to eat for the next 4 years? Because when the people, once you vote for them, they don't care again. And our politicians also should have the interest of the people at heart. I see a lot of greed. People see politics as a means of making money. All right. I was doing my PhD in England when the people of my constituency in London, they put me forward, to be voted for as a councillor in that area. People look at your performance. They look at your, what you are doing. It's the people that will push you forward. But here we have, politicians imposing themselves on the people.
I was about to ask you this question, that
yes.
If for any reason we feel we can still have free and fair elections, of course, right candidates at the corridor of power, how do we get to do this when it is still the politicians that select who becomes the party flag bearer of the political party?
Like an international body that I was reading about yesterday said the only close to free and fair election that we had in Nigeria was in 1993. That was the MKO and
Op 93.
So far, Op 93. Since then we've not had a fair and fair election, and I won't say it is impossible because there is nothing actually that is impossible. But it's difficult to have a free and fair election in Nigeria with all these money and influence that is everywhere. Look at most of the elections that we have in Nigeria, state elections. How is it possible that in the House of Assembly of a state, almost all the members are from the ruling party? Look at our Senate, for instance. It's actually becoming a one-party system. There is no strong opposition.
Even politicians, senators from the opposition party are moving en masse into the APC.
Because
are they being bullied to join, or they are being convinced to join them?
It's not conviction; it's greed. They are thinking about the prospect of their future, and they know that when they remain in the party that brought them in, there's no future for them. There's no prospect. That's why they're imagining, they're moving to another party, and they are being promised
return tickets
and things like that. And this should not be. I just hope that we're not going to move to a one-party system in Nigeria with the rate at which oppositions are joining the ruling party. And that would be very, very bad for democracy in Nigeria.
There was a mantra that echoed loud in the political landscape in Nigeria in the year 2023, and it's still there, the Boko Sebe. It means vote and cook, make stew at home. That is a mantra that has been there. Are the people gradually being impoverished deliberately? Is poverty being weaponized to make sure that Nigerians only look for food and not what to become?
I have said that yes, it's like a deliberate thing by the government, by the politicians, to impoverish the people, because they know that when you are poor, to a level that you can't afford a meal, then you easily could be manipulated. Easily could. There was a protest after the NSAS protest. There was another protest that took place, and I think I was at Abuja then. I saw it clearly when those guys marched to the government house. The police came out. They didn't come out with weapons. They came out with packs of biscuits, water, and as they are giving to, you see protestants, running to get water and biscuits. That was how the protest ended. All right. So it's become a weapon in the hand of the politicians that just give them something, they will keep quiet. And it's happening. It's happening. When you are hungry, the only thing you need is food. And once you are given food, whatever it's motivating you to protest or to want to react, it's secondary now. But the primary thing is food. So it's been a weapon. It's a deliberate thing, all right, that the politicians are doing to keep the people poor. And it's going to increase as we move towards 2027. Look at the hardship that people went through, in the hand of Emefiele during the 2023 election, that even to get 5,000 naira from bank is a problem.
People have to queue.
You have to
get their own money.
You get, it doesn't matter how many millions you have in the bank, you can't get more than 10,000. There was the time I needed money, all right, I used 5,600 naira to collect 10,000 naira from POS. So when they said, give me 10,000, they give me 4,400 because the charges was 5,600. It was that bad. And there was no reason for that other than they just want to make the people, that poor. Because we're still using the naira that this man said we cannot use. We're still using that narrative today. So there was no reason for that other than that the politicians use it as a weapon. Because they know that without money, you can't really do anything. But how many people lost their lives because of that? There was a woman, that died in front of a bank at Apathy. All right, she was in labor, and the man needed money, and so they had to queue, and they left the wife inside the car.
Hospitals were hell bent on getting
cash, and the woman died there. That's one out of so many other things, so many people that lost their life just because you want your favorite to win election. So our politicians are heartless, most of them.
Before we go,
heartless.
Dr. Kunle Okola, some say politics in Nigeria is expensive. Do you think there should be cap on how much political parties sell their forms for election? How much is spent on campaigns to make sure that even people who don't have so much can actually be contest for elections and also win?
That's another deliberate act by the politicians to keep away ordinary people, all right? It doesn't matter how intelligent or how good you are, to keep you away, for presidential primaries, for APC at that time, it's 100 million naira. If I have 100 million naira, I'm not going to put it on, primaries that I'm not sure.
To get a form.
To get a form.
Not to talk of how much you will spend on delegates. On delegates. So they can vote for you.
And at the end of the day, they just 100 million just lost like that for so many people. It's a deliberate act. I just told you what happened in England. I didn't have to put in anything. It's my community that went to get the form for me, that this guy is performing. We've seen him, let's say, and it's small. I think it was 10 or 15 pounds, to get the form, all right, and they push you. It's your community that pushes you. But here, just primaries of a local government, whatever, is 25 million, 30 million. How many ordinary people can afford that? It's within their sect also. And that is the way they want to keep Nigeria, politics on. From 1960, that was the time I sat down and I look at the set of people that have been ruling us. It's the same set of people. Father left, put the wife there. Wife left, put the son there, put the cousin there, put the in-law there. They are there till today. In House of Rep, I was just looking. It was 2-3 days ago. A man was naming those that are in the House of Rep, Nigeria, and normal usual names kept coming up. The son of
Rufai, Bello Rufai
is there. The daughter of former Senate President from Otukpo, what's the name from Benue State? David Mark was there, and all of them like that. They just want to replicate.
They are transferring power.
They are transferring power, and they are not giving chance, to a common person.
Nigerians.
It doesn't matter how intelligent, how viable you are, and this has got to come to a stop. All right, and like I said at that time, you can only push the people to a certain limit. When you push them to the wall, there's going to be a reaction. All right, it has happened in so many nations. It was believed that the head of government in Egypt was a god, But when revolution happened, they dealt with him. All right, so our government must understand that, and that's why in some quarters there are agitations, for the men in uniform to come to power. I was listening to radio this morning. Somebody said that, when the military were in power, do you have this high level of inflation? Do you have this high level of insecurity? And he started mentioning things that were not there. Democracy is supposed to be far better than military rule. But we are not having that in Nigeria.
We have to go. Our time is fast spent on this show. But we'll say a very big thank you to you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.
We do hope that next time we'll call you to discuss more pressing topics. You'll be here.
By the grace of God. Thank you.
All right. That was the big story for today. Elections without voters. Apathy and money politics continue to cast a long shadow over Nigeria's democratic journey. But the future isn't written yet, as Dr. Kunle Okunlola reminded us. Rebuilding trust, enforcing accountability, and inspiring citizens' participation remain the key to safeguarding our democracy. Stay with us. Trend Watch is next, where we bring you the conversations Nigerians are having across country and social media. Samson Balogun is my name. Thank you for tuning in.